You basically took our show and made a podcast out of it. That's fine. This is okay.
All right, here we go. The T-bone.
And chick brew.
Let's God bless. All these years, just get it right one time.
What do you want from me?
40 years they've been trying. You couldn't fire somebody if they were horrible, doing a terrible job for the veterans. And now you can say you're fired.
Okay. No one listens to radio.
And now for a quick disclaimer. The T-bone
And chick brew.
show is brought to you by nobody. We have no sponsors.
The show is still rated G.
For glorious. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with distinct pleasure that I introduce to you this week's surprise temporary co-host. Again, as I have mentioned before, this just has an awkward sound to me, and I can't figure out what it is. I don't know if I've got an effect on. I don't know what's going on, but I've got a weird resonating. Anyway, to get away from me and back to you, whatever. I am so happy to have our co-host with us this week. We have mucho history together. We have a lot to talk about. It'll be this should be a fun episode. If I had the ability to do the drum roll, I would do one right now. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my co-host for this episode, Danny Nipples.
Tony Knuckles.
The Nipples and Knuckles Show. Oh, Danny Gross. For those of you who have not been following me for years and years and years, Danny was my radio partner in Sigonella in the early 2000s. We had a weekly radio show called Traffic Talk Tuesdays where he played awesome music and I brought the funny. We had a great time, and then AFN, the once glorious radio network that it was, sold its soul to this devil and became Bob FM. An old lady's iPod on shuffle is what it became. You don't know.
Is back.
You don't know about me getting kicked off of AFN.
I do not.
Hold on. It gets better. The person who fired me, none other than Gary Bytel.
No.
When I tell other people who don't understand the history of AFN, they don't know who Gary Bytel is. But I'm telling you, he is probably the most famous man in the American Forces Network. He's been with them for over 40 years. An amazing announcer, amazing broadcaster who's retired from broadcasting and now is in the upper management level. During COVID, Gary was bored and had nothing better to do. So after being on the radio for years and years and years, he decided to audit our show. And he was not happy. He could not have picked the worst time to audit a show. It was right at the beginning of COVID. You know, we were on board, man. We were a part of the machine. We were all about this keeping distance and washing your hands and wearing the mask. We were on board with that. What I joked about was the government's efficiency on the government's radio turned out to be a bad idea. My premise was the movie World War Z, we now know, is absolute fiction, that it could never take place in real life because in the event of an emergency, we just shut it all down. We shut it all down. Brad Pitt isn't getting on a plane and going nowhere because the Air Force isn't flying. They're all at home because they're afraid of COVID. So I do this whole thing. It did not go well. Hence the opening is, us getting fired by Trump. Although he was the president at the time, he wasn't directly involved in our firing.
Yeah, I bet that went over like a fart in church.
But the thing is, if it hadn't been for COVID, and if he'd have just been doing his normal day-to-day operations, he would have never audited our show.
Okay, that's fine. You could totally blame it on COVID, but even if he was just to spring up on an audit, we have had conversations before, basically in a way talking trash about certain things that we just dislike. For example, I'm still going to bring this up, and I have no idea if you've ever talked about this at all, but AFN Spectrum Dreaming, where it was, you were saying you were watching Spectrum to a certain point, and basically Spectrum itself, actual service, was worse than Comcast, if you can believe it. But like, you would have movies that would start playing, and in the middle of the movie, it would stop, it would freeze, and then it would go back 15 minutes and continue from that 15-minute period that it was, or 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is. But it would basically you would rewatch the last couple of minutes. And I remember distinctly that you were talking about this because you said, like, I am dreaming in Spectrum, and I had asked what you were talking about on the show. And you were like, I'm dreaming to a point where, like, the story would continue and then stop and then repeat itself 5 minutes prior to where it was. And then I would relive that for 5 minutes, and then it would go back 10 minutes.
That sounds very funny. That sounds like something I would say.
Yeah. So
me and you would trash talk, not the television, to separate the television from the radio, even though they're owned by the same, but we would trash the radio while we were on the radio, leading up to the switch over to the Eagle. Me and you were bashing the Masters every week. We were bashing the Masters, and Jeff Wells is sitting down the hall. And he could hear us, but deep down inside, he agreed with us. So he would come down and give us a stern look or a talking to. But you know he was on board. Every one of us, especially the studs of the flood.
100%. Yeah.
The studs. Danny is actually the closest thing that a journalist can get to being a combat-proven a combat-proven radio DJ, in that during the great floods of 2005 in Marinai housing in Sicily, he was on leave. Yep, he was on vacation, and me and the guys, we held down the fort. We did on-the-scene reporting. We were doing amazing stuff. And then he came back at the very tail end of it after all the heavy lifting was done. And
oh, sure.
What did they give you, like a Congressional Medal of Honor or a Silver Star? They gave you something awesome for that, right?
I think it was a Purple Heart. I'm not sure. I will totally take credit for where credit is not due, because it still works. It still pays the bills.
You have done a lot of interesting and amazing things since we last worked together. So to identify, to list your credits to the audience so that they know you're worthy of being a co-host on the T-Bone and Chick Brew Show. Why don't you tell us about what you've been doing since you left SIG?
So I mean, honestly, when I got back to Colorado afterwards, I left Sigonella. I got to a base, 36th Street Naval Base. Or 32nd Street Naval Base?
Yeah, 32nd.
Yeah, 32nd Street Naval Base. I was on the Dubuque for the last 2 years. I was one of one, so I joined VBSS, the Visit Board Search and Seizure.
Ooh, a little fun.
My action-packed side of things, and then of course after. So
VBSS explains the beard.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, non-compliant, not a problem.
No, that's definitely a special operator's beard. And once you go VBSS, you don't go back.
Yes. Yeah. I left California. I got out of the military and went to Colorado. I went to school for a little while. Worked on campus Veterans Cottage. We created a Veterans Cottage for all the veterans that were actually going to the University of Northern Colorado. We did a lot of work on campus for them, different events and whatnot. And then I moved. Second, put it out there. Knuckles will enjoy this one. Second wife. I met the second wife while I was in college.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's going to be the last one. I promise. I've listened. We're going to be talking
about our friend Kevin Blade in a few, but Kevin's on number 3, and statistically, the third marriage lasts the longest. But second wives never want to hear that statistic.
All right, that's fair.
I have watched you. I've watched you go through your divorce, and I've watched you get married to this woman that you are clearly in love with, and I've been watching you from afar in the you kind of way, in the weird. And you look like you guys are having a great life. You look like you're really having a great time together.
Oh yeah, we just moved out to North Carolina. Like I said, I was in Texas for a little while. I launched a television show with CBS. That was a local show. Afterwards, they cleared house, and so I moved on to a couple of other things, and now I'm out here in North Carolina, and I gotta say, like, it is so pretty out here. We're super happy about the whole move. So, and then on top of that, side hustle, and I'm going to plug it right now. Vinyl Reckoning podcast. You can find it on any area where you get your podcasts at, iTunes, Spotify, whichever, on there. And it is a friend of mine who just collects vinyl records, and he talks about them. And we've been working together, and I've been editing all of his stuff for YouTube. So find us on YouTube, find us on anywhere that you get your podcasts.
And how much does he pay you to do the editing?
So we are nothing.
So I had to learn how to do all of this myself. And meanwhile, you're out there giving away your talents for free.
Well,
who hurt you? Okay.
When you have a talent that is so good on camera, it's really easy to do the editing for. So, you know, you can do it. He's an absolute cutie.
Oh, okay.
I absolutely adore him. Yeah, it's a full-on bromance. No.
And what is your role in the show? Are you co-hosting? Are you just the behind-the-scenes monkey like you used to be for me?
I'm full-on behind the scenes. If you ever catch the YouTube, you can find my voice in the lower thirds. That is basically. So
you're not even equivalent to like a Joe Rogan's Jamie.
No, not yet. So we'll see as it continues to actually go. So like there's been some talks, but nothing as of right now. Fully behind the camera, and I'm very comfortable being behind the camera.
Well, I'm comfortable with you being in front of the camera, and even though we don't do a video version of our podcast, I really appreciate you taking the time to jump on here. Number one, because I really haven't talked to you in 15 years.
Oh, I know.
You know, hey,
Facebook comments.
That doesn't count, right? We've had some laughs on Facebook, and I still don't understand the cat, but whatever. You kept mentioning North Carolina. Where in North Carolina are you?
I'm actually in Raleigh, like in between Raleigh and Kerry.
I know. Yeah, I know Raleigh. We have listeners in Raleigh. So that's good. Now, our friend, as we mentioned, our friend Kevin Blade is getting ready to open up a vinyl record store. And I guess in my circle, I guess I don't really understand the resurgence in vinyl. You got your friend, he's buying the vinyls. You got Kevin getting ready to open up a vinyl record store. I feel like at any moment, John Cusack's going to walk in here with a trench coat and a boombox over his head. Is that where we're going with this? What is causing this resurgence with vinyl?
I mean, I don't I myself am not a vinyl collector, but it has its own niche. There is a crowd of people, and like they all like that.
It's not about quality.
I don't want to. Yeah, no. I don't want to use the word like. Well, no. Okay, so I want to stop you on the quality thing, because I'm going to touch on that for a moment. But I don't want to use the word hipster in a bad way. But there are people that are going back to those older versions of stuff, even if you've ever heard of like the Alamo, the film house where you can actually like go and watch movies and they like serve you food and stuff like that. There's tons of replications of that Flicks Brew House and stuff like that.
I've been to one. I saw Field of Dreams there.
Oh, okay, cool, perfect. Okay, but if you go into those, there's VHS, there's vinyl, there's like people are going back to older versions of stuff because, well, one, the equipment is readily available at any local pawn shop that you can actually go to. You can find really nice things if you wanted to online to be able to actually like play those kind of things. There's like a nostalgia to it. And also, let's put it this way, with lossless audio and everything, there should be no reason for somebody to buy CDs or buy vinyl because it's so much better. It is literally it's the end all be all of music when it comes down to it. But if you want to hear, for example, Wu-Tang Clan first album, if you've ever listened to that on a vinyl record before, it is the best/worst recording that you will ever hear in like hip hop because it is so rugged, it's so raw that you can hear everything when you are actually listening to it off of the vinyl reckoning, the way that, or the vinyl reckoning, there, I plugged it again. Vinyl record, when you listen to it on a vinyl record, you're going, this is the way that it was when it first came out. So there's a sweetness, there's a nostalgia to it that you can watch it or listen to it, and people are doing it with like VHS records.
Old stuff
CDs,
is coming
cassettes.
back. Old stuff is coming back, and people are making money at it. So these 3.5-inch computer discs that I have thousands and thousands of 3.5-inch computer discs.
I got baseball cards. I'm waiting for them to make a comeback.
I still have baseball cards, but the 3.5-inch computer disc, I think I could sell those. They probably got a lot of PII on them, but I don't know.
It's not coming back. The floppy disk is not coming back. Sorry.
How about the zip drive, man? I have so much information on my zip drives. It's all gone. It's we're making progress, and sometimes you think about it. I think music is the only thing that once it was initially released, somehow people have the feeling that they want to go back to it. So Vinyl Reckoning is the podcast, and you can listen to it wherever fine podcasts are sold, and you can find out more about this. But when Kevin Blade opens up the Shut Up and Listen, which by the way is a beautiful name for a record store.
Yes.
When he opens up Shut Up and Listen, we'll be giving him the necessary push from everything that we can do to kind of help increase his business, because he's a friend, and that's what we do for friends. So I
know that he's like 3 hours away from us too, as well, with that store too. So there may be a video. I'm working with the host of the podcast too, as well. So Kevin Blade, I'm not going to call you Master Chief because you have corrected me so many times on this. And he's yelled at me. I feel like I've gotten enough slap on the wrist to where I will say, Kevin Blade, we're going to be coming out there, hopefully visiting your record shop, taking some video, and putting that up on our YouTube.
Where's he at? You say 3 hours away, but I mean, east or west?
North?
You can't go 3 hours north from Raleigh. You'll end up in middle of Virginia.
I have no idea. Like, it's I've just gotten here. I have no idea. There's no mountains. I do not know which way is west at this point. Like, it's there.
You'll get it. It's a piece of cake, man. I love North Carolina. North Carolina's a great state. Hey, so in case you didn't know, because you told me you hadn't listened to the last couple of episodes, but for some reason you're still here as my co-host, thanks. We have a new hotline, 904-385. Wait, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you because the kids will tell you.
You used to call me on my
904-385-3977.
You used to.
It's the T-Bone and Chick Brew Hotline.
Huh? Not bad for somebody who's self-taught.
That's fantastic, actually. Yeah, very nice.
Yes, the Taney kids. My mic is, something's really bugging me today with sound.
Okay, so I think it's probably the fact that it's your voice and then you're just hearing it through the headphones.
No, it's something a little bit more than that. And I set up the studio today for two people, and I attached a separate microphone, and I attached a separate headset, and I've got the twang in there that's just driving me a little nizuts, and that isn't the button to fix it. And there's just so many dials on my soundboard, I don't know what to touch and what not to touch. It's too much, man. It's too much. Oh, wait.
All right. Do you see the volume one? Pull that down.
Well, I have the microphone volume down, but the headphone volume way up so that I can hear myself.
Fair.
Yeah, because I am hard of hearing. I'm hard of hearing. Big Baby, I reached out to him. I was going to have him fill in as a co-host, but so don't take this personal. You were not my first pick.
How am I not supposed to take that personal when we like talked like a week back and you were like, hey, I'm looking for a co-host?
Because you're moving, and I mean, you're calling me from the room of echoes. You're in the process of moving into a new house. You're busy. You got all this stuff going on. Not that I didn't think you were capable or competent. I just thought you had a bunch of stuff going on.
Oh,
and I know Big Baby's moving into his new house, and he's got a lot of stuff going on. So my first pick was Tegan. Unfortunately, Tegan had a bunch of stuff in her life going on. And then I reached out to Big Baby anyway, and nothing was working for him. And then by mere coincidence, you reached out to me. So I am so glad that worked out the way it did. Now, let's go to the Wheel of Destiny and see what we'll talk about next.
It's time to talk about cooking.
And tonight proved one thing. You know all.
I feel like you are not respecting the amount of work that I've gone into putting these things in there. I see.
This is so good.
Look, okay, I didn't go to school to do this. I'm self-taught. No lessons. Thank you very much, Pops. I think these are good. And they're good enough, okay? And until you want to volunteer your talents and making stuff for this show, it's gonna have to do, because every week we talk about cooking. Chick Brew, my regular co-host, is a certified, bona fide, no kidding chef. She went to the school. She knows how to julienne. She knows how to Sicilian. I don't know. She knows cooking terms. She got a funny hat. She knows how to talk about food. So every week we talk about food a little bit, but you don't have to be a chef to talk about food, because everybody poops, right? And the only way you poop is you eat some food.
Fair.
I'm going to ask you, you're in a new town, you're figuring things out, you're getting the scenery of the local establishment. Raleigh, a beautiful town, by the way. What is the first place you ate at, or what's the first place you think you're going to eat at, as far as an actual meal, not the tacos that you got next to the yoga stand, not that.
It wasn't even tacos. It was Italian food at the yoga, by the yoga. That was
look
yesterday,
at all these
actually.
calories we burned here.
Hey. No, get a little prosciutto. Like,
a little matzo, a little prosciutto. Look, I burned off some calories of yoga. It's time to get something to eat. I'm starving.
It was good, actually. I'm not gonna lie. There was like some burrata and like, yeah. One thing I miss from Italy actually is oranginis, but like they don't do them out here the way that everybody does out here. But to answer your question, actually, the first one of the first things that like when we came out here, being that my wife is from Austin. It was literally trying to find a Mexican restaurant that wasn't that American Mexican restaurant. So it was like
muy
basically
authentico.
We were looking for any type of like, basically at this point, if you're not in like a bordering area of Mexico, find a food truck, find a taco truck. And that is where you're going to find the person that is making hot sauce that is actually hot, you know, that the abuela made. Like,
so you're saying like so a couple of gringos in a truck selling tacos is better than a second generation Mexican family at an establishment? Is that what you're saying?
I am not. I am saying actual Mexicanos, American Mexicanos in a taco truck making tacos, street tacos, is way better than any single brick and mortar place that you're going to find where they're going to give you Mexican rice with like lima beans and pieces of carrots and green beans in it. It's not it's not Mexican rice. I'm sorry.
It sounds kind of racist. Sounds kind of racist for the white man and the white woman to talk about how horrible the Mexicans' authentic food is in a brick and mortar building.
You're gonna go there on it? No, I'm just saying it's more authentic than going to Joe's American Crab Shack and ordering the shrimp tacos and
Did you ever get to visit Spain while you were overseas?
I did. Yeah.
I got to live there for a very long time, and I got to tell you, Spanish food, and I mean no offense to any of my Spanish friends, but Spanish food in general is very, very dull. It's not exciting. There's no spice. They don't like spice. They do not.
Yeah.
They do not like spice. You got to take Spain people and you got to put them on a ship and get them over to Mexico and make them live a couple of generations of really hard life where they're like, hey, it'd be good, some pepper. Some pepper would be really good right here. So,
With the New York accent. That's how they do.
Well, they went through Ellis Island before they got to Mexico.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's some bad influences.
No, that was the first thing. We found this place right down the street actually, and it's actually a really nice little shop. Speaking of food, that's my ribs. But a little alarm though just went off, so I might have to pop out for like a couple of seconds. But
go ahead. Go ahead.
We went to a place called La Bonita, and it actually has like it's a little shop. It had all of the stuff that we needed to actually get. Weird thing, if you ever trying to go to any store here, they don't have cornmeal. They have cornmeal mix, but they don't have cornmeal just by itself. This is the only place that we've actually been able to find it. There's only like a couple of places that you're able to find like good chorizo too as well. And yeah, so chorizo, egg, and cheese. It is a staple in Austin, Texas.
You're not from Texas.
No, I am not from Texas.
But
no,
you're
sir.
Talking like somebody who's a Texan.
It's only because my wife has
You're really judgy
me.
against Mexican people. You think you know Mexican food better than they do.
No, it's because it's being in California. It was fantastic Mexican food there. Like going over the border, having great Mexican food there, and then like going into Texas. But living in Colorado and trying like anything there, it was hard to find a good place. Like you're not going to go to like Coyote Grill or something like that where they're going to serve you like tacos or burritos or something, and it's going to have this like it's just not the same. It's not the spices. You want something that is going to make you sweat a little bit and worry whether or not you're breathing correctly.
I just got back from Mexico. We were there just a couple of weeks ago. Unless you're eating Mexican street tacos, and when I say street tacos, I'm not talking about this truck fantasy of yours, or a couple of people that wash their hands or in a well-equipped place that's sanitary. I'm talking about some guy on the street that magically turns around and brings back a hot piece of meat, some wrapped in a tortilla of some kind. You don't know what
That's
the meat
the best
is.
kind.
You don't know what the meat is. You don't know what the tortilla is. And every bite you're like, this is probably going to kill me. But you eat it because it's delicious. And then you make it across the border. And then you immediately find some Pepto-Bismol because you know that if you take it as a suppository, it's going to help you the next day.
No, that's 100%. That is the exact kind of food that I'm looking for. Like, I'm not worried about whether or not you wash your hands. It is more seasoning on that taco for me. Like, that's where I'm at. Like, I know for a fact that you are just doing the thing. Like, I want that kind of kind of taco truck.
There's a nice gutter over there. Can you flavor my tortilla with the dustings of the gutter to make it muy authentico?
As long as it's spicy.
When I got back to the States, I missed Korean food. I really did. And after like a year, no. When I left Korea, so after like 2 or 3 years away from Korea, I had mentioned this to my friend Emily, and she said, well, I can make you Korean food. And I didn't know what this white girl was going to do in making Korean food. Upstate New York white woman making Korean food? I don't think so, Charlie. But she offered to make it. I wasn't going to tell her no, and she made me some kimbap, and it was the bomb diggity. It was amazing. I didn't, as stupid and as racist as it sounds, I didn't think white people could make Korean food. And she did, and then she taught me how, and then I got on with Maangchi, who is a YouTube Korean little ajima, who's a fantastic teacher and a chef, and I learned how to make Korean food because of her. So now I'm a round eye that knows how to make Korean food. It was a big step for me. The most authentic thing that you need to have genuine Korean food is giant Playtex rubber gloves. You know what I'm talking about? The real long orange, super
yellow
thick, or pink. But basically, you can do electrical work with these gloves and not get shocked. They're huge.
Yeah.
And the Korean ladies that I used to watch at the restaurants would cook with these gloves so that their hands didn't touch the food. And they would clean the toilets with these gloves so that their hands didn't touch the toilet. And they would take out the garbage with these gloves because the gloves were only there to keep their hands clean, nothing else. So when I learned how to make gimbap, I was like, it's really good, but it's missing that one thing. And
so then you cleaned your house with the gloves. You're like, I figured it out.
That one thing was, within a couple of hours of eating one roll of gimbap, you were clean. It moved through your system with rapidity. It just within 6 hours of eating one roll of kimbap, it was out of your system, and your system was clean. And I can't get that effect because I'm missing all of the X factors, all the latex glove principalities.
That's fantastic.
No, do it.
I'm not gonna. I can't do it. Like we're doing it right now.
No. You tell her to do it, and she'll do it.
All right, hang on. Let me do this. Play the T-Bone and Chick Brew show. Which app do you want to listen to this on? Ooh, that's hard.
We're on Apple. We're on iTunes.
Yeah. No. It says Apple Podcasts. It says Spotify. It says YouTube, Pandora. I'm gonna have to. All right. I will like and subscribe. Is that what you wanted to hear?
I've never had to say that. I've had a bunch of people this week. In this last week, I had a bunch of people say to me, hey, they didn't say, I was like, well, blah, blah, blah. And I mentioned that on the show. Did you listen? You know, for whatever reason. They're like, no. Why? Why don't you listen? Well, I don't know how to listen to podcasts. And I get it. People think listening to a podcast is difficult. And what I have done successfully over the years is told people how easy it is to listen to podcasts. What didn't hit me until last week is they have to listen to the podcast to hear me tell them how easy it is to use the podcast. It was falling on deaf ears, Danny.
Yeah. You need to do a Facebook post.
I did one just before this show, specifically about that.
My mother is the same way. I told her, she's like, well, what do you do for entertainment? And because, like, you know, I have, like, watch TV to a certain extent, but, like, most of the time, like, I have, like, audiobooks or something, and then most of the other time, it's all podcasts. She's like, well, I just don't want to pay. And I was like, no, they're free. Like, they're 100% free. There's only like a couple of them that you need to actually pay for.
I don't want to download anything. You don't have to download. It's so easy.
You don't have to download.
And if you have unlimited data, you can listen to them anywhere you want. It's so much better than radio because we don't have commercials. We don't have crappy music. It's just us. I mean, we've got some commercials, but they're usually fake commercials, or I made them specifically for this show.
You made fake commercials for the show?
Get your laugh on and save a life. The Harrisburg Comedy Zone, in partnership with the Central Pennsylvania Blood Bank, offer 2 free passes for every single pint of blood donated. Quick clarification, it must be your blood. 1 pint, 2 free passes. That's almost the junkie rate for a plasma donation. Did you know a single pint of blood can save as many as 3 lives? Did you know the Harrisburg Comedy Zone features amazing talent from all over the country every single weekend? Did you also know that blood expires and the Central Pennsylvania Blood Bank is in regular need of donations? For more information on how you could save a life and have a laugh, visit cpbb.org and harrisburgcomedyzone.com. That's one word, harrisburgcomedyzone.com.
What do you have to say now?
I just miss your commercials so much, and now also I just want to say I learned something today that blood does expire.
Yes.
And I didn't know that.
Well, you know what?
I don't think I needed to know that, but
that is a perfect lead-in for this. The Book of Everything. I mean, we have to do it. They're regular segments in the show. So the Book of Everything is something that we do every week. I've got it right here. It's the book of facts that'll blow your mind. Guaranteed to teach you something today that you did not know before I told you. So there's a lot of cool, interesting facts in the Book of Everything. The other night, I don't have cable TV, so I got the free antenna TV, which means I get to watch a lot of TV from the 50s. They told us when I was a kid that the TV signals that we send out into outer space would be seen by aliens thousands of years from now. What they didn't tell me is I was going to be cheap in my old age and not pay for cable, and I could watch all of those shows right here. If you want to know anything about My Favorite Martian, My Three Sons, I Dream of Jeannie, or Gomer Pyle USMC, these are like the regulars that I watch all the time. But in a knockoff of the History Channel, we have a channel called The Story Channel. The Story versus History Channel. So in The Story Channel, they actually did a segment where they focused on something that I learned in the Book of Everything. The oldest living organism in the world is over 100,000 years old, and it's a patch of seagrass in between Greece and Italy. Yeah. I wasn't really impressed by it either. But when it came up on the Story TV channel and they were divers down in there showing it, I was like, I learned that on the T-Bone and Chick Brew show. So here we go into the Book of Everything. I'm going to teach you two things that you never, ever knew before. You ready for this?
Sure.
When trying out a new pen, what is the first thing that people do? You've got a new pen there, Danny. What's the first thing you do with a new pen?
I'd probably say uncap it or click it. Click it.
What's the first thing you write with your new pen?
Oh, I scribble.
What do you scribble?
You scribble like a couple of lines just to make sure that it's actually
what's the
going
first
to write.
word you write?
The first word?
Yep.
I don't know. It depends on what kind of document I'm signing.
According to the Book of Everything, when trying out a new pen, 97% of people write their own name.
There you go.
There you go. There you go. From the Book of Everything, something you didn't know before that you know now. And in the future, when you go to scribble, because of this episode, you're going to get a new pen, you're going to go to do a scribble, and you're going to 97% of people can't be wrong. Let me write Danny down. It's going to happen. All right, here we go. Ooh, boy. The Book of Everything, to be honest, the Book of Everything is copyrighted 2012. So it's a little outdated. Okay. Over a distance of about a mile, a carrier pigeon is faster than a fax machine.
Did we just go to Monty Python on that?
After the distance of a quarter of a mile, I think a carrier pigeon's probably faster than a bike messenger, a car, just about everything over a period of 1 mile. I think a carrier pigeon can get there faster than anything, except email. Now, before email became so prolific, which apparently was around 2013, we had these things called fax machines. And for those of you who don't know what a fax machine is, it was magic. It's the early stages of teleportation. We would take a piece of paper, and you could have anything on that piece of paper. It could be your face, it could be your butt, it could be anything. You could put this in a machine, and that machine would read what it says and teleport that image around the world to another machine that would retrieve that image. It was amazing technology for its day. But nowadays, I have people come up to me and go, I have to send a fax. And you could see from the look in their dead eyes, they don't know what that means. They have no idea what sending a fax means. And they ask you stupid stuff like, when I send them the fax, do I keep the original? Do I make a copy before I send the fax so that I have a copy? They don't know. And it's not difficult. It's just, I have a fax machine in my office that has been collecting dust behind me for years. And every once in a while, it rings. And when a fax machine rings, the fax machine is calling another fax machine, and they make this little crazy exchange back and forth. Yeah. So I'm sitting there, and that fax machine will ring, and it'll ring once, and then the very next time it says, and I'm like, oh, please, here it comes. Here comes the fax from the future. Tony, disregard everything we told you about such and such. Play these numbers tonight. Okay, future me, who can only communicate to me through the fax machine that's in my office.
On this episode of Grandpa Explains.
There's a kid out there doing some reels with, it's called Gen Xers Explain. And it's just a dad who doesn't want to be messed with at all, you know. And hey, Dad, what do you say about this? Get away from me. You're and then he goes on to explain it anyway, which is basically every day of my adult life these days. All right. Well, if you listen to the show, you know what headlines are, and this week is going to be no different just because we have a guest host. I still haven't done a promo or still haven't done an opener for headlines or news from around the globe or whatever we're calling this bit. But ladies and gentlemen, you know how it works out. Somebody gives me a headline. It's a surprise to me. I'm seeing it for the first time, and I'm going to do my best to mine that headline for funny and at the same time try to accurately predict where the story goes. So, Danny, do you have any headlines for me?
I do. This one is from the New York Post.
All right, coming from the New York Post, what do you got?
All right. Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck get married in Las Vegas.
Oh, you know, there's an old adage that these are words that were spoken from the man on the mountain, the Dalai Lama, the whoever. Listen, gentlemen, no matter how fine she is somebody's pain in the butt, okay? That I'm going to tell you right now, that woman, she got issues. She got issues. I don't care how beautiful Jennifer Lopez is. But if she has to, I mean, what is she on? What is she like on marriage number 6 right now? And she's probably...
Don't be fooled by the rocks that she's got.
Yeah, well, apparently she's still Jenny from the block. And if we know anything now, we know she was a his-or. No, I mean, she's a beautiful lady. She's aging so wonderfully well, but God bless, she's got to be, you know, she's been run through a couple of times, man. And that's damaged goods. She's getting to a point in age where she slept with everybody. She's kind of like Skeletor, or as other people call her, Madonna. Life has not been good to her after her period of time where it was great for her. And J-Lo, I love you, lady. You're great at making music, you know, as long as Pitbull's involved. But you should probably be seeing some type of therapist versus getting married in Vegas, J-Lo. Come on now. Come on. That's, oh man, was there an Elvis impersonator? Did you guys do it at the little drive-through chapel? What, is this going to be Britney Spears? Are we going to see J-Lo shaving her head in 2 weeks? Is that what we're seeing?
Britney alone.
Just to get the attention? I don't care if, obviously Ben Affleck is a train wreck too. But I got to say, if I had to guess, he's gifted in one department. He has got to be gifted in one department. Considering his competition. Now, they've been together before. And then they went their separate ways. And she went through a bunch of backup hitters, if you will.
I mean, we've seen the bat suit. We know what he's packing.
Well, I mean, we didn't know. But apparently, that was not a prosthetic. Did you know in Magic Mike, apparently the Wahlberg boy was wearing some type of prosthetic?
No.
I didn't know that either. I recently watched an episode of the Wahlbergs because I don't have cable and I have to watch whatever's on. Yeah. And yeah, big old prosthetic.
Was this on the Story Channel?
All my channels are knockoff channels. I don't get the Peacock, I get the Peahen. The bottom line is this will not last. Ben's got issues. Jen's got issues. You take one train wreck and you put it against another train wreck, and all you get is one giant train wreck. I will put even odds it doesn't last a year. All right? That's the going rate right now. Even odds that the Jennifer version 2. Can you imagine? Can you imagine being married to somebody and then getting divorced from somebody, which is its own process, you know? Not a lot of divorces are easy to go through. So you got this divorce thing, you get through that, and then to get back with them after years of publicly being with a bunch of other people, it's not going to work out. I will give you fair odds, 6 months. 6 months, and Affleck probably hurts himself or checks into rehab or something. It doesn't last.
There's a headline right underneath it. It says Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck get divorced in Arizona. So it didn't even last the state line.
I wish that was true. That would be hilarious. Oh, that's so funny. All right. You got another headline for me?
I do.
All right. Well, let's go ahead.
This one is coming from NPR.
There we go. Now,
all right,
hold on. When you reference something from National Public Radio, you must remember to present it in National Public Radio voice.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is Ira Glass, and am I doing it right?
The least entertaining, the least excitable broadcasters on the planet, ladies and gentlemen, the people from NPR.
Yeah, the Quaalude of radio, but it is fantastic. A man exonerated in the killing of Malcolm X is suing New York City for $40 million.
Get your hand out of my pocket is a phrase I use all the time. Now, a lot of people forget, facts and history and stuff like that. So Malcolm X was murdered by black men. Martin Luther King Jr. was almost murdered, well in advance of his actual murder, by a black woman. So the outcome with Malcolm X is that while giving a sermon in Harlem, 3 men enter the room. One of the men famously distracts the crowd's attention by yelling those words, "Get your hand out of my pocket." I use it all the time, and it's such a awesome reference that nobody gets. So I yell it out all the time. Get your hand out of my pocket. People are looking around like, yeah, you'd all be dead right now. They used that as the distraction to murder the man while he was giving a speech. There were 3 of those men, and they were all from the Nation of Islam because Elijah Muhammad didn't like that Malcolm X was no longer on his team when it comes to hating whitey. There were different levels of hating whitey, whereas like Malcolm was in the A-leagues of hating whitey along with Elijah Muhammad, and then Malcolm kind of stepped back and said, hold on, not all white people are bad. I only hate, certain white people. So he got bumped down to the minors, and Elijah Muhammad didn't like that, so they basically put a hit out him and had him killed by other people that wanted to be up-and-coming A-leaguers in the hate whitey movement. So,
too much.
I don't know how you've been in prison for 40 years. I don't know. I don't think I don't know how long he was in prison. He's been in prison a long time. Malcolm X has been dead a long time. I don't know how he was wrongly convicted of being part of the 3 people that killed Malcolm X. I don't know how he got away with that because he was there. Mohammed Aziz I think was the guy that got released. I'm pretty sure he was there. He was part of the 3-man hit team. How his lawyers beat the rap all of these years later, usually because, witnesses die or they're murdered. And time goes on and things happen. Somehow they were able to get this cat out of jail. He should be happy, but he ain't happy. Because hey, good ain't good enough. Now, if I got the story wrong, and he was just another like congregation member, and the Whitey arrested him and accused him and put him in a jail because he had a weird first name and a weird last name, he deserves $40 million. $40 million tax-free. Ain't that a bitch? How about this? How about he wins against the city? They give him $40 million, doesn't matter, M or P, and then they take taxes from him for the money that they gave him, because they will, and the federal government will. He's just going to be lining Whitey's pocket. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to do just like America's Got Talent and American Idol and all these. Anything where you're going to win $1 million, Survivor, Alone, any of those things, you're going to win it in installments of 40 years. All of them do this. So when you see a group of like 30 people on America's Got Talent that are the most amazing acrobatic, karaoke, singing, musician, you name it, like a group of 30, they get on there and they win the show. Well, those 30 people have to divide the grand prize of $1 million over 40 years by 30 people after taxes. So like, yay, this week I can have peanut butter and jelly. Now, I see you staring intently at the screen. We normally only do 2 headlines. If there's one out there that you think needs some attention, I'll give it. But if not, we're going to go ahead and move on.
No, I'm actually just reading into the actual headline itself because I was very much interested in like what was actually going on there.
How close was I?
You were in the ballpark. Let's put it that way. But as
nice
far
way
as
to bring back the baseball reference.
It basically dismissed the convictions for basically witness. There was evidence of witness intimidation and suppression, exculpatory evidence,
exculpatory.
Exculpatory. Thank you very much.
So he got out of prison. He got out of prison on a technicality.
Yeah.
And now he wants $40 million.
Well, I mean, 55 years, right? Something like along those lines. Spent 20 years in prison for a crime that
he did commit. Yeah. Getting off on a technicality doesn't really count. Yeah. I did it, but you screwed up. You didn't dot the I's. You didn't cross the T's.
I don't know. There's justice is a weird thing at this point because it is 20 years in prison, and if they're gonna turn around and say that this is the actual case, then I guess like he has somewhat of a right. I don't believe so, no, because like history has told me hundreds of times that as of right now, that is exactly the way that it all actually played out. You okay there? You got a little You seem to like burp and spit up there. He's on video. I gotta call this out. It was a little weird. You okay?
Dude, I don't even know what that was.
It was like a burp and sneeze at the same time. I don't know what do you call that?
I burped. I did. I kept it quiet. I had the mic off. I burped. And then it was like I had a nosebleed, but what was coming out of my nose was spaghetti. But like, what the? How am I bleeding spaghetti sauce? How freaking fat am I? I bleed spaghetti sauce. Oh, Jesus. There was a lot of power in that burp, man. I was holding it in, and it came out through my nose. I was not prepared for it. And holy cow, did Mama use some garlic tonight, baby. Oh.
I've never met a person that'll burp spaghetti sauce out of their nose. That's new.
Well, now that you have, I can tell you.
Or bleed spaghetti sauce.
It's not a very pleasant feeling. I don't know if I can play the tape back, but my reaction was quite shocking. I was not prepared for those fluids in that location. Holy
yeah.
But I'm keeping the rest of that in. That was good stuff. Oh, good Lord.
It's the T-Bone and Chick Grill Hotline.
You used to call me on my
904-385-3977.
You used to.
It's the T-Bone and Chick Grill Hotline.
Those kids did a great job. Now it's time for Birthday Boost. It's time for Birthday Boost, and here's what we do every week. Chick Brew chooses 2 of her people on her notification list. I choose 2 of mine, and we give them a special build-up, a special boost. But in her absence, Danny Nipple's there. He's going to pull it off. He's going to choose 2 of his friends. I'm going to choose 2 of mine. I got a lot of wonderful people who are experiencing birthdays in the next week, some that are very near and dear to my heart. But today's special Birthday Boost goes out to the one, the only, the manager of commissaries near and far, old Miss Shirley Magwood. I thought about you last night, Shirley, because I was at a local establishment for some adult entertainment. I was at the adult arcade. I was having a wonderful time, and it was one of those nights where they gave away money to people at random. And one of the women that won $500 in free play, her name was Shirley Maggart. And of course, I'm gaming, I'm having a good time, having a good time. And I heard Shirley Mag, and I'm like, there's Shirley. She moves around a lot ever since she left Spain. I know she's not in the desert anymore, but we haven't really talked since quarantine conversations. Shirley is a wonderful woman. I love her to death. Just genuine, deep in her heart, amazing kids. Just got a dog that's kind of racist because it always barks at the white people as they walk by. But Shirley's, I don't believe she's racist. I think she's a wonderful lady. And if you ever get a chance to go to a commissary that she runs, let me tell you something, folks. Customer service like you can't believe. You got a problem, Shirley can fix it, all right? You go in there. Shirley also told us during quarantine conversations, she broke us the story of the lady on the egg diet, who was on an egg diet. So here's the deal. This is a great story. It comes from the days of quarantine conversation where every day during the quarantine for 100 days, we just got together and talked. And sometimes it was really entertaining and insightful. There was a woman who had come to Spain, and she was new. And she went to the commissary early in the morning before the commissary opened up, and she is begging and pleading for them to give her some eggs. She has to have eggs. She can only eat eggs for her diet. She has to have these eggs. It's so important she gets these eggs. So they're not open yet. She's beating on the door, just trying to get somebody's attention. She goes and gets one of the people's attention. The person says, no, we don't open for a couple more hours. You'll have to come back. And she doesn't take that for an answer. She keeps beating on the door. And eventually, Shirley, who's the boss lady, she comes out there. She goes, honey, what's the problem? She goes, I can only eat eggs. I'm starving. I have to have some eggs. I don't have any eggs. Can I get some eggs? And Shirley's like, of course, I'll go get the eggs for you. And I'll bring them to you. And even though the registers aren't open, you can eat the eggs and you can pay for the eggs later. So Shirley physically runs through the store, grabs the eggs, packs them up nice and neat, puts them in a bag, does all the stuff, runs back because she doesn't want to delay this woman any further. She's got other things to do, and gives the woman the eggs. And the woman looks Shirley dead in the eye and says, no, Cadbury. She was on a... she was on a Cadbury egg diet. And it actually does exist. There is such a thing as the Cadbury egg diet. It's a real thing.
No, there's no way.
Turns out that the woman, God bless her, I try not to make fun of the mentally ill unless their last name used to be Lopez. I try not to make fun of the mentally ill, but this woman, she then started going into the grocery store and taking eggs out of an egg carton and putting the Cadbury eggs in the egg carton and buying the eggs at the register. She would buy a dozen Cadbury eggs at the register. That she was stealing Cadbury eggs by using the regular egg carton to steal the eggs. That deserves more laughter, but you're reading and not paying attention.
No. I'm paying attention. That is the most ridiculous thing in the world, but I'm Googling now to find out whether or not this is real, and there is something wrong with the world, because yes, this is. Why?
All right.
Who thinks that this is a diet?
Fat people, man. Fat people. First of all, If you restrict your calories enough, it is true you can eat anything and lose weight for a short period of time. If you only eat M&Ms, if you only eat Cadbury eggs, if you only eat freaking broccoli, if that's the only thing you eat, but you limit the amount of calories that you eat, and your calories that you input is less than you output, you will lose weight for a short period of time. But eventually, your body's going to say, I like the other stuff too. And then you're going to eat that, and you're still going to be eating the M&Ms or the Cadburys, and then you're going to blow up. I know I am the poster child of yo-yo dieting, okay? I could lose 40 pounds and gain 60. It would take me a month to lose 40 pounds. I could gain 60 in 2 weeks. It's insane. Yeah. I am the yo-yo. Now it is your turn to do a birthday boost.
3 days ago was a birthday for a friend of mine. At least that's what it says on Facebook. Daniel Newby. And I do want to do a shout out. Daniel Newby, or as close people will call him, Doobie.
That makes sense. That goes together well.
For reasons that are known.
So it's not just a conjugation of his name. It's actually, yeah.
No,
it's 420 somewhere, dude.
Used to be. Yeah, very much so. No. He was a fantastic person. Actually, he is one of the first people that I met when I actually moved to Austin, Texas. We are moving from Colorado into Austin, Texas with my wife, who was at the time just my fiance, and we were looking for a place to actually stay. He called us up and said, "Hey, I have a place for you to stay. I have a room. We can split the rent." We got there, and there was barely any running water. And when there was running water, the bathrooms didn't drain. The bathtub itself didn't drain. There were bugs in the kitchen, and he'd been trying to leave that place for a while. 2 days afterwards, we were sitting outside smoking cigarettes on the back porch, and he had like a litter box that was just filled with butts, and he threw one in there, and it lit half the place on fire. So the guy is like pure and utter chaos and incarnate, but for some reason he's just made it out and continued to live his best life constantly. He now lives in Colorado. I think he's actually moving back to Austin at a certain point, but he's got a little girl, and he is married to a wonderful woman that is a friend of ours from college too as well. So it is just fantastic to see him just be incredibly happy. And here's a fun fact about this too as well. One of my dogs that my wife has had way before me, if there was anything to ever happen to my wife, I would not get that dog. Doobie would get that dog.
For your very first birthday boost, not bad. I am troubled. I don't know what to do. I got a lot. Of course, I will mention you in the honorable mention section, but there's just so many good people to choose from. I'm gonna go with old Julie Tibus there, or as she is known in Spain, Julie Tibus. That's Julie Tibus. Let's just say, and this is so fun for you to be on this show. So, did I know of a chief at the hospital, the hot chief at the hospital? Yeah, I knew her. You know, I had seen her. You know, she had gotten my attention. Beautiful lady, got my attention. But, she didn't like me. Because, as we all know, I'm an acquired personality. You know, you don't just walk up to me and go, "Oh wow, you're really awesome." You have to learn my ins and my outs, my ups and my downs, to find out how awesome I could potentially be. Well, she wasn't going to invest that time in me, and I didn't think I had a chance, boys. Didn't think I had a chance. Totally out of my league, and it's work. So you never dip your pen in the company ink, right? Even though we didn't work directly together, she's a chief, I'm a chief, that's not going to happen. It's that. It was such a crazy initial get-together. But on April the 1st, for the Chief Petty Officer birthday, me and you were doing a live feed there at the commissary exchange. We're having a good time. And she rolls out there and she's laughing a little bit. And, I say, well, if you thought this was fun, you should come over to the barracks after this, because That's where we really have fun. Every Saturday, we sit around, we play poker, we have a wonderful time, enjoying each other's company, playing poker, eating food. And she did, and I haven't gotten rid of her since. And I don't want to get rid of her. She's amazing, and I like having her around. But yeah, it was me and you working that day. And then her talking to me that day, deciding to come and join us over at the Chiefs Mess. She is getting ready to celebrate a giant birthday.
Nice.
And I have been forbidden from doing anything for her birthday. Because that's the kind of person she is. Super low-key. Super demanding and super low-key. So happy birthday, Julie. I hope telling people on the show it's your birthday and giving you a birthday boost isn't too much to get me in trouble. I hope
you're gonna catch it for this. I'm just saying right now. This is it.
You think she actually listens to the show? The only time she listens to the show is when I could trap her in a car for a couple of hours, and then I'm just playing it like, no, I need to listen to the audio quality. I need to hear how I'm doing, and it just to get her, because I say things and she laughs, and I like it when she laughs. But when we're driving down the road, we don't talk a lot. So most people don't. I don't think a lot of people talk in the car when they're driving. You got to focus on driving. So I let her listen to me, and I enjoy her laughter. It's now time for your second birthday boost there, Danny.
I love how I love the picture of you listening to your own self, over like a couple of times, just to be like, yeah, that was really funny.
I have it on video because I have an in-car camera, and I actually laugh at myself and critique myself on the camera. I should post that. That'd be good. Hell of a riot.
All right. So in that case, I'm gonna plug the. I'm gonna selfless self-promotion here too as well, because the next one is our host of the Vinyl Reckoning podcast. He's coming up. His birthday is actually coming up relatively shortly here, and I think he's probably one of the funniest people that I've ever met in my entire life. His stories are fantastic, and any time that he
I can't seem to turn your mic off somehow. I'm trying to turn your mic off over here. I'm raising this thing up and down. It's not.
Yeah. He's a fantastic human being, and actually, if it wasn't for him, I'd probably not be in North Carolina. Both of us got the same exact offer for a job. We both ended up turning around, talking to each other, and we both took it at the same time. So he actually lives right in the same apartment complex as me, and it is fantastic. One of the greatest stories that I've ever heard him actually tell, and I have to preface this with a little bit of information about him. He was born actually with no legs and only one arm. So he is in an airport. And as you know, whenever you go into the airport and they're getting ready to seat you onto the airplane, they say a couple of things. Will any women with kids please board first? Any first-class passengers board first? Any veterans board first? Anyone with disabilities board as well? Well, apparently, he heard the disabilities was before, I guess, the veterans. It was disability people first. So he took a little bit of time trying to get out of his seats and walking up. And they said, veterans or service members board now. And as he's walking towards the crowd, someone screams, "Make way for the veteran!" And it parted. The whole crowd parted like Moses parting the Red Sea, and he was just like, oh, God, because he's not a veteran. So he was just like walking through this whole crowd. He gets on the plane, he sits down.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. I'd like to acknowledge the gentleman in seat 3A.
So the person next to him goes, "Hey, man, so you're walking up. Hey,
I was in Nam too, man."
"Where did you serve?" And he goes, "Oh, me? No, I just have bad timing." And then he put his headphones on and stared forward.
That's a great response.
It was a fantastic response. Every single time that I've ever been out with him, there's always a weird story of as he's walking his dog or walking somebody drives by, rolls down the window and says, "Thank you for your service," or "Thank you, soldier." And he's like, "No."
I was born this way.
Yeah.
I'm a Katy Perry song. I got that on vinyl if you're interested.
He probably does, actually. I'm not even gonna lie. He's a big fan of Taylor Swift, actually, which is weird. But yeah, so a big thing for me every single time that I see him in the mornings, whenever I see him, I'm just always like, "Hey, man, thank you for your service."
If he ever has a call-in line on his show, I'm going to do that. I'm 100% going to do that. What you haven't done is told us what his name is.
It is Matt Bergeron. Matt Bergeron.
Matt Bergeron.
Matt Bergeron, the host of Vinyl Reckoning.
Yes. Is Matt Bergeron's dad the former host of America's Funniest Videos?
No, it is not.
Is his dad's name Tom?
No, Tom Bergeron? Is that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go and look that up now.
No, you
That's
don't.
Gonna be another.
I know these things. Tom Bergeron used to host America's Funniest Videos.
I can't trust everything that you say.
All right, now we're going to do this thing called honorable mentions, where you get to name everybody else that's having a birthday that we're not going to actually do a birthday boost for. So my list is a little lengthy, but we'll knock it out real quick. Mike Friend's having his birthday this week. Mike Friend doesn't have any friends. Debbie Simeone, a beautiful Italian lady down there in Georgia. She's having a birthday. Lisa, I always wished I could pronounce your last name. Lisa Sosenko is having her birthday. Is that a picture of her and Tom Hanks together? It sure is, back in the day. Ashley Edson, well, I mean, Lisa's a very funny lady. Ashley Edson, she's giving up her birthday on the internets. You know Ashley. She was much younger when you knew her. She was one of the Edson kids. Of Joan and Ed's daughters. So Kerry White.
Oh, yeah.
Kerry White having a great birthday. Brandon Wade Farver's having his birthday. Brandon Standard. Shawn Phillips. The one and only great master of comedy, George Wallace, is having his birthday. Cody Blaylock. Walter Lee. Raul Cuevas is having his birthday on the 22nd. El Titres. I love this lady, and that's her hash name, and the story behind her hash name is incredibly awesome. You want to find out about it, buy her a beer. Johnny Millwater, Adam Hill, and Adam Plum all having birthdays the week that we are recording this, but you don't know when you're listening to it, so you just have to believe us when we say they had birthdays this week. Who do you got in your honorable mention there, my friend?
Ooh, okay. So I actually don't have too many in July, but I'm going to go through August real quick, if that is completely okay with you.
Keep it short.
As long as everybody is, I will totally.
You don't have to say any of that. No one knows. Just say the birthdays.
Fine. I got Dillon Singer. I got my grandfather, who is actually going to be Joanna Wilson, William Woods. Let's see here. Daniel Edgington. That's a name
that rings a bell. He must have unfriended me. Oh, no, because you're in advance. That's what it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And then
he was a stud of the flood.
I know, he was.
An actual stud of the flood.
Here's a fun fact. After so many years of being his roommate and him drinking me underneath the table, the one time that I got to hang out with him when I was in California, I actually won that competition.
Yay!
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, or if that says a lot about me.
It's clearly a bad thing.
And then Crysgtal Lopez.
That is a great list of honorable mentions. Danny, I can't tell you how thankful I am for you to come on here. Number one, it was just great to talk to you again because it's been a long time. And emojis don't cut it. Sometimes you need to reach back to your friends. So this was a good time. Now, Chick Brew has her normal sign-out phrase, which is don't forget that you are loved. I have my normal sign-out phrase, which I'm getting ready to deliver. If you were put on the spot and had to come up with a sign-out phrase, what would you use?
Oh my gosh. Take it easy. I don't know. I don't have anything.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening to the show. We hope you had a great time. Remember to be the best person that you could be. And if you were a great person today, be an even better person tomorrow. And as Chick Brew would always say, don't forget that you are loved. And as Danny Nipples will tell you, take it easy.
Take it easy.
Take it easy.
And if it's easy, take it twice.
Danny, thanks so much. We really appreciate having you on.
Always.
Thank you for listening to T-Bone and Chick Brew. If you enjoyed that show, you should check out the Darrell McClain Show, independent media that won't reinforce tribalism. We have one planet and nobody's leaving, so let's reason together. You can find the Darrell McClain Show at the same place you actually listen to this show. Give it a shot.